All right. And we're back. Judd'z Budz, episode 72. Thank you, Humpy. As always, your host, Spoke Z, joined by my good buddy, Mr. At State of Hoppy. Hoppy, how we doing?
We are doing.
Love it. Enough said. I mean, so, obviously we didn't do this last week because we did the live stream and we ended up streaming for 6.5 hours, I believe, was the final tally for the NHL draft. And then obviously Thursday was day 2. So we haven't had a chance to do one of these since the draft, since free agency started. It's been complete chaos. So we've got a lot to go over. I think we'll be doing just the draft as a whole, some surprise picks, some winning teams from that draft, talk about the wild picks. But yeah, no, we've got a lot to go over here, Hoppy. I mean, how are you feeling after all that?
I'm way better now that I have both sobered up and I'm not caught in the middle of all the emotion. Obviously, you and I have talked about it a few times since and even talked about it right before we jumped on. Probably not the best reaction that I had to Mr. Braden Yeager being drafted by the Pittsburgh Penguins, just because I was absolutely crushed, heart stomped on when, of course, the Buffalo Sabres take Zach Benson right before. It hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. For everyone, for anyone who wasn't with us live, Zach Benson, as anyone that's ever listened to me talk about the 2023 NHL draft prospects, Zach Benson is one of my very favorites in that class. I had him 5 on my own personal board. And obviously because he isn't 6'4", teams let him slip out of the first round. They didn't go that far. They let him slip out of the top 10 there. And Hoppy was just one pick away from Mr. Zachary Benson, who Dubas was salivating over.
Oh, my God.
And, of course, he ends up going to Buffalo at 13, and the Pittsburgh Penguins end up with Braden Yeager at 14, which, again, part of the reaction from Hoppy was just it had nothing to do with Braden Yeager because he's a fantastic player. I was a big fan of that pick. I think now in retrospect you are as well, but that was pretty funny. Didn't matter who they took. Like Bedard could have slipped the fucking 14 and it'd be like, motherfucker. Like, God damn it. Not really. That would actually be but, hey, it's all right though. So hey, Yeager, you know what? Hoppy didn't mean it. That was just misdirected anger. So anyways.
Disavowed.
Yeah, disavowed. Yeah, he takes it back. Redact it. Anyways. I mean, where should we start here, Hoppy? Because I mean, we could go a few different directions here.
I'm going for chaos right off the bat. I got to ask you, what do you know about and what is your interest level in Threads?
Oh my God, what the fuck is going on? I've said this, I believe I've said it on here before. Like, since work is just like legitimately just completely out of control, I actually can barely go on and just see what's going on, which I guess that's what you're supposed to be doing when you're working, is not going on Twitter and shit. But I used to do that all the time anyways, because it wasn't as chaotic as it is now. But I get news sometimes like 2 days later even, but I randomly go on my phone like last night, and all of a sudden it's like this thread thing where I think it was when Elon first took over, everyone was like, well, here goes. I guess we all have to make Instagrams now because Twitter's going to shit and it's all going to be over. And shockingly, we're still here. But it looked like that again. I was like, what did he do this time? And I got to tell you, all I really know is Zuckerberg just pulled a really funny move and just created a new social media to rival Twitter before their cage match. Apparently they're fighting.
Yes, that's Isha's big thing. He's like, oh, this is just a promotion.
Yeah, maybe we'll get that. Maybe that'll be our. We'll get the rights to stream their fight. I think we might have a chance. I think we're big enough that they would do that. All 6 people in this live stream, 4 of them are my own fucking burner accounts. But I was just sitting there and I was like, I don't know what this is, and I got really overwhelmed. And as I tweeted out last night, I was like, no, I am absolutely not doing this Threads thing. How can I be expected to learn a whole new form of social media when I can hardly read in the first place? So I am opting out of that. I hear it's terrible, but I mean, everyone did it. So I mean, are you on? Did you get something?
No, I have not dabbled in any of that yet, but I got to pull up. There was a great guy who used to do some like beer blogging in Minnesota, but now I moved back out to somewhere in Maine, I believe. And
decent place to do that, by the way.
Gerard Fagerberg. I am on Threads, but right now it's just everyone talking about how they're on Threads.
That seems like accurate because, like, literally, I still have no idea what the fuck it is. All I know is there are a bunch of people that created their own little thread. Was it like part of Instagram or some shit?
I think it's legitimately like copy paste Twitter. Like, I think he switched enough things around just to like say that it's not the same. Like the comment icon is one over. Like, I don't think there's anything special or crazy about it. It's just like, hey, here's where you can all go when Elon fucks this shit up.
That's actually very funny then that it's literally just like another version of it. I kind of love that move. Like Zuckerberg is a lunatic, but that's how I'm choosing to understand it now. I don't care if that's what it is or not, but that's a very funny thing that he just did. I bet he was laughing his fucking dick off when they finally like created it and it went live. I bet he was dying laughing, and Elon probably shit himself. Like, I think that's so funny. But speaking of tweets,
first move was sending Elon an invite to Threads.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. That's the good stuff, dude. But speaking of like funny tweets, though, I just saw this random one after I checked Twitter for the first time today. With my buddy retweeted it. New York Times pitchbot climatologist says that Tuesday's temperatures were the highest in the last 125,000 years, but Twitter user @weatherguy1488 isn't so sure. I love that shit. Oh god, it's only me though. I'm the only one laughing. It's fine though. Anyways, we gotta move. Let's do hockey stuff.
We can move past Threads. Now that you've had a chance to let it soak in, I know you absolutely gushed over this player, but all said and done, did the Anaheim Ducks make the right decision taking Karlsson over Fantilli?
I honestly, like, regardless of which team was picking to, like, I don't think there was a wrong choice in that top 3 unless you went outside the consensus there. Or even if you did go outside the consensus and took Michkov instead, I still don't think that would have been
Smith?
Like that would have been a bit egregious for me. By the way, fun fact: Will Smith went to the same summer camp in New Hampshire that I went to and like was at for years. So just a little fun fact: he's an alumni. We both are. Thank you. We're basically boys. I'm like 10 years older. It's fine. Actually, I'm 11 years older. But anyways, I kind of love the Leo Karlsson addition to the prospect pool in Anaheim too. Like, now you've got the flexibility because I do think Karlsson winds up as a center and not just like the chaotic center that Fantilli is, where again, no doubt top 3 pick in this draft, but again, his whole game is just like complete like chaos, where Karlsson's a bit more calculated. He has the two-way game. He plays a game that translates really well to the NHL already, as you saw by the success he had in the SHL. So now you've got the flexibility to keep Zegras at the wing. And now you've got McTavish, where like Fantilli's kind of just another version, probably like with a bit more upside than McTavish. So I just like the compliment that he adds to that forward group. And I mean, that's a team that's humming right now with that prospect pool. So actually, I'd love that pick, honestly. Like, would have loved if they took Fantilli too, but at the same time, like, Leo Karlsson, as everyone I'm sure is aware of, is my favorite player in this draft. So I love that addition to, and I love that we had a little bit of like, I think it kind of got out that was probably going to happen. But I do love that there was that like initial surprise right off the hop, just like last year when Slavkovsky went 1 and then Shane Wright didn't go till 4. It was kind of like a version of that. And then from there, like the drama just kept going because you're just wondering how far does Michkov fall. So I love that start to the draft.
Fair. And Fantilli, how long until he's anchoring that first line?
I mean, I wonder if they just throw him up there just to start right away. Like,
oh no, dude, Boone Jenner's pretty sick.
And well, I mean, you wonder about if Mike Babcock's gonna pull some shit again, but I wonder if they just say why not. Like, I mean, the kid's fucking unbelievable, and he's the center that they've never had there, like that echelon of like what Fantilli is. And you can stick him in between 2 absolute studs in Gaudreau and Laine. It's not like he's going to have to do a whole lot of the heavy lifting, right? Like, you already got one of the best playmakers in the NHL in Johnny Gaudreau. You've got a sniper on your line in Patrick Laine. Like, he's not going to have to be leaned on necessarily to, like, really be facilitating the play on that top line. So, I mean, like, it's a lot of pressure to throw a kid at 1C on a team that clearly has no interest in continuing to rebuild. They clearly want to win with the additions that they made, especially in the back end too.
Oh, dude, Jarmo is just shooting his mouth off left and right about how they're just such a different team and they're absolutely making the playoffs.
Yeah, it's like, what's he gonna do? Like, it's like, yeah, we're gonna suck again, actually. So we're gonna bring Fantilli and not let him go back to college.
I think there's an in-between
there. I know, but like that hi sick beautiful bastard. I'm gonna throw that on my tombstone when I die.
I didn't get that part on mine, so
yeah, you just got sup, Hoppy. You got the hi, how are you, bud? Sup, you fucking lunatic. Hey, Hoppy, how are you? But yeah, I'll be like that Metro division's gonna be chaos because I mean
everyone but Philly's in the mix.
Everyone. Because, I mean, we'll see. And, like,
except for Philly.
Literally, except for Philly. They're going to be dog shit yet again.
Dude, how about Michkov already coming out and saying that, like, oh, yeah, I'll be here next year?
Wild. Just, like, also all the stories that are coming out about him now, like, what he's like, is so funny. He's kind of, like, getting, like, carved at the same time. Like, I was like, he's kind of like a piece of shit, by the way. I'm like, oh, fuck off, dude. Like, that's brutal. Let the kid have a moment. For fuck's sake.
Dude, okay, we want to talk about letting someone have a moment. How about David Reinbacher, who not only has his name forgotten by Carey Price, but Habs fans are literally like telling him to kill himself. Like, what the fuck?
I don't. Again, so like, and I've said this on here before, like, you'll notice that generally when I talk about prospects, it's in a pretty positive light. Like, it's one thing to criticize a pick. Especially like, yeah, for me, Reinbacher at 5th overall is definitely higher than I would have had him. He's also, again, one of the most well-rounded, best defensemen in this class. And obviously they wanted the Michkov. They wanted, anyone else, I guess. But like to go out and like, just again, imagine being a fucking full-grown adult pissing yourself over a fucking 18-year-old getting drafted and thinking, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to flood his fucking Instagram. I'm going to send him private messages like with the most ridiculous personal attack. Like, you're such a fucking loser.
Well, dude, fucking like, if that's the move, go after Hughes. Like, bury his DMs. This kid who's like living his dream and getting absolutely shit on. And it's like, oh, they don't really want me here. Cool. Did you see though? I can't remember like what the context was, but there was another interview with him where he's like, yeah, it's so great. The fans are so warm and welcoming. And like, he seemed genuine as he said that. And I'm like, you are my favorite. He might.
So you haven't looked up your phone, have you?
I don't know. I'm going to choose to believe that he's just like trolling and rolling with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so great.
And you know how sad it is that there was a fan who actually had to create a fucking scrapbook of all like the positive things about him. That's so fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I'm in Boston. I'm a Bruins guy, obviously, other than Minnesota, of course, that's Sota Pod. I fucking hope Reinbacher is an absolute stud. I hope he fucking becomes one of the best defensemen on the fucking planet just to shove it up all these fucking losers' hoops. Like, it's like, oh god, that's the shit that really just pisses me off. Like,
Well, and I hope it gets traded to Nashville for Shea Weber too.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that contract will still be going.
Anyone has any like topics too, feel free to throw them in the chat, whether it's individual picks or teams. We'll definitely be circling around to them at some point. Obviously, no need to ask about the Wild in particular because we're going to get all up in that. We already covered the Sabres making me cry. How about the Blackhawks crushing? Like, apparently, Minnesota Wild fans were absolutely crippled on all forms of social media after Oliver Moore was selected by the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, and then like my favorite reactions were the ones like, "Why didn't they trade up to go get him?" Well, because like Billy can't just go into like the GM group text and be like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna just trade up to a 19 real quick."
Dibs 19.
Thanks, Dibs. This is how this works, right? All right, thanks. All right, we're gonna take Oliver Moore now. I don't know. Like, it's the same fucking reactions every time. It's the whatever, but yeah, I mean, the Blackhawks lead the first round with the best player in the draft. Obviously, it's kind of hard to miss on when you draft the first overall, but
highest upside, right?
I would think so.
No,
and
more,
then
I'm saying.
What?
Like, highest upside from like draft position has to be Oliver Moore, right?
He's up there, I'd say.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what he looks like in the NHL because, like, is he a center? Is he a wing? Again, probably the best skater in this draft, at least top 5 for sure.
Who did Chicago take last year? Late, like it was like early 20s, I think. Another Gopher commit. I can't think of his name right now. Shit.
We're doing well.
Stand by. You continue talking.
But yeah, I mean, the reaction I think it was like, well, obviously the reaction on Minnesota social media was just fucking bananas. Everyone was upset.
Sam Rinzel.
Oh, that's right. Rinzel, who, by the way, the D pair of Minnesota Wild's 5th round pick this year. He's his D partner this year in Waterloo.
Well, he's also going to be roommates with Oliver Moore this year as freshman for the Gophers.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, so that's kind of funny.
That's decent little situation for him. Yeah, but dude, the reaction specifically that like they missed out on Oliver Moore. I know that everyone really, obviously, the Gopher commit. He's he's a stud. He's good. He's great. He's a great player. One of the best players in the draft, obviously. But like the visceral reaction, I thought was like pretty crazy. Like, again, I probably had him higher than 19 than in my own like ratings or whatever. But
you had a 9 in our mock.
Yeah, it seemed like they just Detroit was just a perfect situation for him too, and that felt like the right like spot in the draft.
Yeah, and then they got the Ginger Caveman instead.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. That just caught me off guard. Fuck. That's like you just caught me off guard. Like you catch me off guard with like the Paul Rudd comment an hour and 24 minutes into this. Like fucking unbelievable.
I don't know how you always let your guard down. It's always coming.
I don't know. It's because I have half a brain, dude. I can't read. But yeah, I mean, again, just the reaction though to the specifically to the Oliver Moore thing, I thought was like not like crazy, but it's like really interesting for me because it was specifically Oliver Moore that everyone was like, "Fuck, like, trade up, you loser."
Fucking losers.
Will you go punch Kyle Davis in the face, please, and take his pick and steal his lunch money?
Oh man.
But yeah, no, people are upset about missing out Oliver Moore. I mean, I get it. Hey, but you know, they missed. So they didn't even miss. They literally did not miss because they couldn't just go steal a fucking draft pick. Like they can't. It's not legal. I don't know if it's like when they didn't sign Philip Johansson, they got like the compensatory pick. It's like, well, if we fucking did that last year, we could do that in the first round this year too. Even though there's
how many shitty first round picks have we had? We deserve all the compensatory picks.
Oh, God. Yeah. Can we get a compensatory just because everyone feel bad for us? Unbelievable.
Now, Z, another one for you, guy that you were way higher on than most, at least from what I saw, 6th overall.
Internet.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Did you hear me the whole time?
Yep.
All right. Simashev, 6. Go off.
Well, not just there, but like I sneaky love what Arizona like really planted their flag and just loving those two.
Everyone that's 6'4 plus
from the same Russian team. That's the thing, right?
Did you see the Simashev quote?
Well, when he called it,
yeah, they're like,
that was the best.
Anyone out there, like anyone you know that you think would be a great pick? He's like, honestly, teammate Daniil But. And then
they were like
10 seconds later.
He started by saying Gulyayev. He was like, no, But, Daniil But. And then literally right, he was like, oh my God, I called it. It was sick. But I mean, that's two guys there with huge upside. And again, like you can look at the counting stats for Simashev, and it tells a completely different story than the type of player he is, because despite the fact he didn't put up a whole lot of points, or like really, I think he went the first 20 games of this season with 0 points. There is legit upside there offensively. And even if that doesn't hit, and this is what we said during the live stream too, like I really do think his floor is just being a solid second pair, elite shutdown defenseman. Like this, you don't really come across 6'4" defensemen like him, who are as physical as he is, who can skate like he does. And I mean, he is super smart. Again, already has an advanced defensive game, but like the hallmark of his game is just his brain and the skating. And like I say this every time we talk about him, the fact that he was literally breaking people's ankles, just like trying to forecheck them, and he was just like changing direction, going the other way, like on a dime. Just the raw tools alone make him like one of the most intriguing defensive prospects I've seen in a very, very long time. So, and the fact they followed that up by taking Daniil But at 12, same Russian team, but again, another dude, big 6 foot, 4 or 5. But the size skill combo, the skating, like for a guy his size, is decent enough. He can make plays. He's got a great shot, and he plays a good defensive game too. So I kind of love that they were like, no, like we don't give a fuck about what anyone else says. Like these are our two guys that we love. So I totally get if you want to call them reaches on the upside. I love it. Were there other players there? Maybe like a Michkov, sure, but
Michkov probably wasn't going to be happy with Arizona. The one that I thought they were going to take, especially with hearing how much they were like meeting with him and his representatives, was Ryan Leonard. I thought he'd go there, and like Simashev's probably still there for you at 12. But I mean, hey, hard to argue with it. And shout out to our boy Richie, who joined us late in the stream, and we helped ease some of his concerns. But on the Leonard piece, is it borderline illegal to have Wilson and Leonard on the same team?
Yeah, we'll see if Wilson's still there. All the trade rumors flying around, obviously, but yeah, I mean, you've got Wilson that's just going to be a complete lunatic doing Tom Wilson things, and then you're also going to have Ryan Leonard being a lunatic doing Ryan Leonard things, which is also scoring goals, making plays, and running guys through the class. So the second Michkov went, it was a no-brainer. They were going to go Leonard there. So no complaints about that pick either. And I think Caps fans and just that organization is going to love Ryan Leonard. And the fact they followed that up in the second round by taking one of the guys with the highest ceilings in the draft too, and Andrew Crystal, who, hey, did we not say it for a couple of weeks now? It sounds like there's a good chance, or like it's very likely he's going to be a second round pick. And it was interesting too, because Cam Robinson said that he scouted almost like scouts from, or he talked to like scouts from every team in the league, and he maybe ran into one or two that had him in the first round, which is like, so there you go. Like all the doubts are there, and he's definitely like a low floor, high ceiling type guy. But I mean, for me, crazy that he didn't go in the first round, especially with some of the kids that did. But I think Washington, and they get Cam Allen, by the way, in the fourth round, who this time last year was the consensus first D-man off the board, like top 15 pick, and they end up picking him up in the fourth round. Like, so I think Washington's got to be real happy with how things ended up with them too, especially I'm sure they were banking on Michkov falling there. But to leave that draft with like a kid like Cam Allen in the fourth round, Andrew Crystal in the second round, and Ryan Leonard at 8, like I think they've got to be pretty thrilled with how things turned out, especially given the fact they really were probably banking on Michkov being there.
Yeah, and teaser for everyone that's going to stick around here with us, or those of you listening on the podcast. Again, we're going to wrap the show with agreeing and disagreeing, I guess, with Pronman's draft grades. And he had Washington at 16 out of 32. So I think we're going to have some contention from Z in general.
Well, that's because he had, I guarantee it's because he has Crystal like 60 something.
That's good for him. All right, let's transition then to the team that everyone cares about here and how things went in the first round. We got Charlie Stramel, Minnesota boy, unfortunately playing for the Badgers, but is what it is. And I mean, Z, do you want to speak out against some of the slander and some of the people that were saying not so nice things about Mr. Charlie Stramel?
Yeah, and I mean, I think like the difference in the reaction to the Stramel pick, it wasn't like they were. I feel like the reaction wasn't directed at him, more so at like Judd and Bill. I mean, you saw my reaction on the live stream. I mean, like, there were definitely players there that I would have taken before Stramel, but what have we been saying about like who do you think like who they're going to be targeting in the 2023 draft class? They're probably going to be looking to address areas in their prospect pool that are lacking, which is big centers with size, physicality that aren't necessarily maybe like skill isn't there, or like the offensive upside isn't necessarily like the main like pull there. But
sure,
Stramel had the year that he had, which was horrible, just like Wisconsin. Like he ultimately had like his season was a reflection of the University of Wisconsin, and it was not good. But this time last year, consensus top 15 pick because he has the size. He also uses his size, by the way, and he's smart about using his size. When he does like he has that quick wick where he will do like stupid like kill somebody, put them through the glass. But there is a little bit of upside there. Like he has good hands, he's got good sense around the net. I mean, you're not nudging him anywhere, but he in totality, just with Stramel and the rest of the draft class, like they addressed the areas of need in their prospect pool. And when I first started doing this specific like show, this podcast, one of the first things I said about the Wild prospect pool is like, yeah, there are like the super high end guys, but it's a prospect pool that's so good because it's like diverse, where you've got different kinds of prospects in every area, where you've got guys like Adam Beckman, who is his like a 40 goal scoring winger potential. You've got Marco Rossi, who's an elite number one center potential, two-way game. You know, there's like guys like that up and down, like that prospect pool. The one thing that you could say they're missing is like, you know, the big centers who play like a more conservative, not necessarily as flashy game. Again, I'm not saying that the way that they ended up picking the guys that they took are guys that I would have taken there, but in totality, did the prospect pool get better? Oh yeah, like it for sure did. Like they did the thing that like everyone says you're not supposed to do, and like what need kind of.
That was gonna be my big thing, right? Because I think that's what threw a lot of people off. I mean, me personally, again, I was already so emotionally unstable from the Pittsburgh kerfuffle, and I was just very shocked to see Stramel pop up. Again, you had talked about him several times leading up to the draft, and like a player that I'm not at all bothered that the Wild picked up. But it felt like they've always preached like, hey, we only take need if there's like a tie, right? Mm-hmm. And this felt like they drafted need rather than best player available. And I think that's what, on top of people thinking that the Wild had some birthright to Oliver Moore, like all of that kind of came together into just an absolute cluster. So I don't know. But again, end of the day, I probably seemed like I was pissed off. I did come around at the end in our stream and say like, hey, I am not mad about this pick. I'm just surprised.
Yeah, again, so like that's where I ultimately probably landed. And it's funny again, because we were just talking about like, hey, for months now we were like, who they're going to target, like what mold of player. And we did say the big center, but I'm pretty sure one of the very first shows that we started doing that, I was like, I think he'll be gone by then, but I would imagine that if somehow Stramel was there at 21, that's a guy that they would probably be targeting. And again, he just like the year, it was what it was. That's a great Sean Cosgrove coming in again. Not wrong. But we'll see. I mean, so this is going to be a huge season, obviously, not just for Stramel, but anyone at the University of Wisconsin. They've got a couple of solid prospects coming in too. Like Will Whitelaw is going to be there. Another Columbus guy. There you go. They had
any of these
themselves a
kids
nice
play?
day too. Yeah, well, yeah, Hastings, we'll see. Well, if you don't have your AARP card, then you might not play. So, we'll find out. But this will obviously be a huge year for like the program. But like a guy like Stramel, who, had all the, upside in the world coming in, and then the season was what it was. So, were there other players that I would have taken like right now sitting in front of you? I still would have taken a kid like, Quentin Musty, who, if he wasn't like a winger, I would imagine that's a guy that's checking every box that the Wild were looking for.
Who did he get paired with?
What's that?
Who did he get paired with?
Who did he get paired with?
Up, wasn't it?
What?
That he went to San Jose, right?
Yeah.
Dude, imagine him and Will Smith long term. Hello.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How are you?
Ooh, that's
Keep the change. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah. They kind of struck gold with like a couple. Again, like I would have gone Mitch Cobb at 4, but a couple of guys just like fell into their lap, like a Luca Cagnoni. I think they got like the 4th, 5th round.
That's right.
A couple of guys just fell into their lap. Yeah. Exactly. But. And even like, so John just said draft looked better with a hype pickup sleeper. Yeah. Like, and just transitioning, just like the draft class as a whole, like with the first 3 picks that they had, if you just told me that they got height at 21, Stramel at, was it 53?
54, I think.
53, 54, whatever it was. And then Kumpalainen at 64. I'd be like, yeah, that's, yep. Like, it would have been no complaints. Like, I'd be like, yeah, that's great. So again, it's just like the fact that it went the order it did, and again, like, so, and the big knock against it's going to be the guys that they opted to take Stramel over. But listen, the prospect pool got better as a whole. They've addressed a lot of areas. And the guys they picked up, I think there's still legit upside in the guys that they did take that you'd probably call a reach right now. So
I think it is important to note, though, for those that are really pissed off about not getting Oliver Moore, they were able to pick up 2 other MNCAA players. We've got younger brother, not son, Michael Russo, not son, but younger brother of Neil Pionk and Aaron Pionk. And, of course, we got Edina boy Jimmy Clark, who will be going to the Gophers someday.
At some point. Yeah, I mean, which one do you want to start? We can start with Pionk. I mean, this is a kid that was literally a forward 2 years ago.
Like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, they're like, let's try this kid on D. Let's just see.
You know what? I heard his brother played defense
he
once.
Was real fucking good. He was really fucking good. That's how that went. And hey, like I just said before, the D partner was Sam Rinzel in Waterloo. And I mean, he had himself a fucking great year. And like, again, he skates really well. He's defensively solid, which again, like that's like obviously if you're going from forward defense, probably the hardest part is going to be the defending piece, but defends great. I mean, like forces guys wide, the pivot, he shadows. He doesn't really get beat easily around. He's capable of being physical too. He's going to have to I think he's 6'2", like 170 pounds. So obviously he's going to have to bulk up there a little bit, but I like the foundation he's got there. And again, like, a lot of those picks, especially late on, when you're finding guys who have those physical tools and the skill, like you can build on that, right? And I think he's smart enough too that's a guy with legit upside too. So I didn't hate that pick at all. And just funny the fact that not son of Neil, and the fact that his D part of this year was Sam Rinzel was pretty funny. But definitely an interesting pick. But listen, Jimmy Clark, I fucking love that pick, dude. Like, he is unbelievable. And I think he is an overager, isn't he? I think he was eligible last season. Maybe he wasn't.
That would be weird if he played high school this year, but possible. He could just be a later birthday.
Maybe. I can't remember. But the passing, the playmaking, dude, like this kid is good. So like the fact they got him, what was that? Was like 200 something? Was it 20?
7th round.
213. Yeah. Anytime you can pick up like just a unbelievable passer, great playmaker. He put up good numbers, obviously. Tools there again. I love that pick up in the 7th round. So again, in totality, like they really did bolster the prospect pool, even if you don't necessarily agree with at least like the order the picks went in, right? So,
Sure.
but I get like sneaky the Jimmy Clark pickup. That pick was like sneaky, might be my favorite one. Like just the bet on that at 213. But yeah, I know there you go. MNCAA guys, you're gonna love it. But Jimmy
Hey,
Clark's real fucking good, man. I love that pick.
we love it. And this is probably worth diving into a little bit more too, Z, because I do feel like a lot of the fans were just like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah, so Rasmus Kumpalainen again would have felt like a better choice at 64, but again, you end up with Riley Ide at 64, not going to get played. This is like for all these guys, like Jimmy Clark, sneaky, my favorite pick, but like the one that I'm most interested in, I think is most intriguing, is Rasmus Kumpalainen, where this dude is massive. He's another. So again, there you go. They were looking for the part of the prospect pool that maybe they were lacking in, but so I maybe am a little bit higher on his offensive upside than a lot of people, which probably means I'm wrong. But he's got like I think he's what 6'4", 6'5", but already plays a real solid two-way game. So again, he's got a lot of like the NHL habits at the two-way game where like in zone defending, even the fact that he's not like the fast, it's not like he's a bad skater. It's like he's just not fast. But still, like he's able to use his size and like keep guys to the outside, doesn't get beat. He kills penalties, but for a guy as big as he is, he's got some insane skill. The hands, like he makes plays in the offensive zone, and like again, it's like I don't know how he does it because he's just like not moving fast, but he does change directions pretty well, like on his pivot there. And again, like he's got the size, but actually just like knows how to use it where he can create space for himself and he's patient enough. He can create passing lanes. He's got a decent enough shot too. And I think he's just an incredibly smart hockey player. So again, like I was just saying, you bet on guys who have those. Number one, he has the brain, but he's also got the physical tools and the skill that I think you can absolutely build on. And I mean, he's playing in Finland, which is a really good, like, just place to develop where they're pretty like aggressive on like the intangibles. So that's probably why he's got the advanced defensive game that he already has. But a really intriguing prospect to keep track of over the next year or two. I think he just got drafted to Oshawa in the CHL, so I think he's going to be coming over next year, I want to say. So he's going to get, adapted to the North American game too. But just a really like interesting choice, and it doesn't surprise me that was a guy that they kind of looked at and targeted, just because again, like they were clearly going after guys with size, but also he's very smart, plays a two-way game at advanced level already. So was it a reach at 53? Probably a little bit, but again, you bet on those tools and you bet on the brain. So I am actually a little bit higher on the upside than a lot of people are probably in terms of like the offense, but like. You watch him and you're just like, oh, he'll be in the NHL, and those are guys that you're hoping that you get there from like rounds 2 on. So really interesting pick, and the guy that I'm most intrigued to like keep tabs on as the years go here, as he makes his way over. So just I kind of loved it, just like that bet. So interesting choice, and again, one of the guys that I'll be watching closer than a lot of other guys.
For sure. And we got Sean Cosgrove fact checking you as always. He was not an overager, apparently. Good old Jimmy Clark.
Just one of the oldest guys.
Yeah, kind of like Matthews.
Yeah, same player. How do you do? What was the GPA?
I don't think hockey players have GPAs. That's not how that works.
Yeah, that's true.
Good question here, though. I don't even know if you have a real answer to this, but Z, how many different hockey leagues do you watch?
The other ones I don't like really watch closer, like the fucking like the Slovakian league's kind of hard to really like get a good stream on, but obviously the one I watched the most at this point, the J20 and SHL that's in Sweden. It's pretty easy to get a hold of the streams for the Finnish leagues. Obviously, all the CHL, NHL, AHL. And then Hockey TV has the Czech League. It has the BCHL. It has the USHL. I don't know, like 10, I think, maybe more.
Plus
NCAA, yeah, maybe more.
Plus MHL.
Okay, yeah, maybe like 15 to 20. I don't really know.
All of them. We can keep on going.
Everything outside of like Slovakia.
Minnesota Pee Wee hockey. It's all.
Yeah.
It's
all good stuff, dude.
Z, do you watch the LNAH? And if so, why is it the best league on the planet?
That's the most psychotic hockey league on the fucking planet, dude. I cannot believe that's like guys sign up to go play in that. Like, no, I am like, I'll go to a game for sure, but like, I feel like even being in the stands, I'm gonna wear like Kevlar. I wear body armor just going to those games. Like, they're fucking insane. Like, those dudes are all just absolutely fucking mute. Just absolute mutants. And like, yeah, we just like throw the skates on. We can't really tie them, but like, we don't need them though. We don't really move outside of like bench to the face-off dot to the box. So whatever. Mm-hmm. Imagine being like a playmaker in the LNH, where you're trying to fucking make plays and score goals, and you're just getting fucking head taken off by like a 50-year-old fucking ex-NHL enforcer. Oh shit, dude! The people
the correct answer is yes. That is basically Isha's burner that said that.
Yeah, so. that was Isha. I think that account was created 48 minutes ago, just for this.
No, it's been created for a little bit, but it's one that he has control of for a client. So yes, that's absolutely why he did that.
Okay, it actually was.
Yep, it was 100% Isha. That should not surprise anyone.
UFC on ice.
All right, before we shift back into all of Pronman's draft grades and kind of, we'll say, debating with him, even though he's not here, a couple more things on the Minnesota Wild. First one here from Baker91. Minnesota should go after William Nylander if Toronto doesn't want to pay him. Thoughts?
I mean, if cap space wasn't a thing, yeah, you know, they can't really afford to like. So actually, in that light, I kind of like I would imagine that the Wild are not thrilled with Philip Gustafson, because that's really hamstrung them to the nth degree here, where they literally can't do anything. And I like to pick up for
like, what the fuck?
Oh, did he? Like, I
mean, he's a lot more like soft, because it's like, you know what? I respect it. Like, get the money that you deserve, but it's more like, yeah, hiding behind the agent, and you know, while he doesn't need to take less, he could certainly tell his agent, like, yo, work this out before July 1st. Get me the best deal you can. Like, I don't know. There's some give and take there. I don't think the onus is on Gustafson, but I gotta imagine the team, that being players and front office, probably aren't super thrilled.
Yeah, and when I say at like his camp, because I mean, what dollar amount or what term could they possibly be like dragging this into arbitration over? You know, like.
Well, I think arbitration is just there to ensure that a deal gets done. Like, that's the right move. And the good news for the Wild is it was elected by Gustafson's camp, which means they get the choice whether they want a 1 or 2 year deal.
Right.
So that's
and
good.
Like, it's you just know it's gonna be when they do sign him, and when it's all done, like, you know, they're gonna be sitting like, what, you couldn't fucking do this July, like in June, like we couldn't have done this before now, like we had to go do this route, and like that's what sucks, because like obviously they can't do anything really outside making that trade for Patrick Reed, which I actually like that. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that was the fact. I mean, Reed's got 3 years, and I get like it sounds like everyone. Yeah, I mean, fucking Delorier got 4. Like, so
From
same idea.
how's his team doing?
Yeah, exactly. I don't like the term, man. There's some of these fucking, I don't know, whatever. But that's what I was about to say. Like, I do like that Maroon, like swapping Reeves out and picking up a guy like Patrick Maroon. So I do think like the fact that they really can't do shit because they have to sign their own guys and they have zero cap space. Like obviously that's not like, oh, never mind, it's all fine now because we have Patrick. Like obviously you would have liked to see them be able to make some moves here like on July 1st and like bring some other guys in, but the fact
John
that they were able to
Robinson
do
jumping in the chat. Why not move Zuki and Foligno now? Play kids, sign Nylander.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine if the offer was right with a guy like Foligno, maybe they would pull the trigger. Same thing with Zuccarello, but at the same time, you're talking about like
I don't see
disrupting that
Zuccarello
locker
even
room.
being possible.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like he's still producing like 1 year. What's he got? 1 year left?
1 year left at $6 million. He's got control of where he goes.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you saw
people could have moved money for shit. Shank you if you get rid of him and Dumba in the same offseason.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw like no one can move money really, right? Like you have to really, like, I mean, to give up Josh Bailey for future considerations, the Islanders had to throw in a second round pick.
Yeah,
and like I get it, like Bailey's not the player he obviously once was. Obviously, like that's not up for debate.
It's not expected, but I also think
the fact that you would tie a second round pick.
Yeah,
what's that?
I do think looking at a guy like Zuccarello too, like that's a guy that the Wild probably want to keep here a couple more years on a cheaper deal, right?
Yeah, right. That's a guy like you keep him around if you have to, whatever he signs next, it's obviously not going to be $6 million, but like that's a guy that I'm sure isn't going to be looking to make a ton of money here. But like as you continue to ride out the last few years of this buyout thing, I would imagine like why would you like want to get rid of that guy? I mean, listen, you're locked in at 6 anyways. You got the cap space you're working with, you got the players you're working with now.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's gonna be some guys that you're hoping or need to make the jump next year. But I mean, he can still play. Like it's not like the playoffs. After he got hurt, really, once he came back, he wasn't the same player at the end of the year. But right. I mean, the guy can still fucking play. So it is what it is.
And so off that, like needing the kids to step up, is this the year we see Beckman get his chance?
I hope so. And like we talked about this too. Like I think he's ready to make the jump because like not only did he produce in Iowa last season, like he kind of rounded out his game that like outside of shooting pucks in his driveway last summer. I'm sure that's actually what did it, but he really rounded out his game. It's never gonna fucking leave me, dude. That's gonna haunt me forever. But I think he did develop his game more so to not just be like the sniper on the periphery where like he's in the mix, man. Like that's a guy, his profile is that sniper and like just like the raw goal scorer, which not a bad thing to have, by the way, especially in the fucking power play.
So where's the fit? Where's the fit? Where does he play? Like so this is pretty much stuck on the fourth line, isn't he?
Right. So that's the thing, though. Like that's the conundrum I keep coming back to.
How can we be such a middling team but not be able to find spots for young kids to play? Like, how does that make any fucking sense?
I know. This is what I own. Like every time, like, oh, like this player, like Marco Rossi, Adam Beckman. Then I'm like, all right, let's look at. Oh fuck. All right. Well, there's nowhere really. I don't know if there's anywhere in the top 9 as it stands right now. Fuck me. Like,
yeah.
But I at the end of the season, we talked about this. I was like, I really want to see them just take a look at a line of Beckman, Rossi, and fucking Boldy. Like I can't imagine that it happened this year. Obviously, that would be a fun ass fourth line. They're like, like, fuck, throw the kids out there, let the kids play.
I mean, am I crazy for thinking that you take guys like Foligno and Hartman, right? Both like relatively cheap deals, but for the Wild, every penny counts.
Right.
I would think Hartman, if you're looking at a team like Tampa, if you're looking at a team like Boston, you can get a pretty strong return moving a player on that type of deal with that kind of play to them. Now you trade Foligno as well. You free up almost $5 million in cap space. Have Marco Rossi finally get a chance. Bring him up. Fuck it. Play him on the first line. Give him every chance to fail. And if he can't do it, at least you know. Beckman then gets a spot on the third line. Get him out there with, what is it, Goudreau and Duhaime? Fuck it. That could be fun. At least you're doing something. You're picking up assets and you're letting kids have a chance to see if they're actually part of your future. Because right now, we're literally running the same shit back and hoping that things go differently. And I don't understand how that makes any sense with looking at how other teams in the division have gotten better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, hey, yeah, I mean, you know me. I'm all, they fucking play them all, dude. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine specifically on those two, like, it's funny because with Ryan Hartman specifically, what makes him an attractive, like, pickup for other teams? He's not 30, first of all. He's proven that he can produce when playing with elite players. Like, he's a fucking good hockey player. And he makes 1.7. But what makes him attractive to the Minnesota Wild to keep? He makes 1.7. You've watched him score fucking 30 goals for Minnesota. You know what I mean? So again, it's just this
but it's the same rinse and repeat bullshit, which is the problem for me.
Yeah.
Like,
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah.
Like, might as well take a step back, or hey, maybe it's a lateral move, whatever. You're at least picking up assets in a year that you'll still probably make the playoffs, losing the first round just like you would if you had Hartman. I don't know. And maybe it's something that they wait on until we get closer to the deadline, and that's when they pull the trigger on something like that, if we're a fringe team of sorts. But I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe like maybe that's like the debate to have, though, is like, part of that is you just lost Dumba, you lost Reeves, you've lost other like big parts of that locker room, and you don't want to just throw all of that on the kids, obviously. Like when they're
and that's what's tougher with Foligno for sure.
Right, exactly. And again, I'm not saying you should be prioritizing the locker room over literally everything else. I think that's like one of the things I feel like that GMs have to kind of like strike the right balance. When you look at teams that win, it's like, yes, we have every team that fucking wins. What do they always say? Oh, this is the best locker room I've ever been a part of. Yeah, you obviously have to get that right, but like to a certain extent, you can't just be like, well, we can't possibly like. Thank God Billy wasn't like, well, we can't possibly not re-sign Ryan Reeves. Like, well, what about the locker room? It's like, well, I think we'll be all right. Crazy.
Like, if Ryan Reeves leaving is what like destroys your team, sounds like
that's a debate. That's a debate.
Dog bullshit.
Yeah. That's where the debate's going on. That's one of the debates, dude.
It's insane. Okay, well, let's for the sake of everyone's sanity and our time, last Minnesota.
I don't know if it's just me here. I don't know what just happened, but a hoppy just disconnected.
Sorry to panic you there.
I was like, oh, I thought it was me.
Stupid fucking mouse. If it touches like anything in like this one spot, it just like
that was awesome.
Acts as the back button, and that was just great timing. But
Sean Cosgrove is shitting himself. He goes, ha 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 ha. Later.
Yeah, the episode would have been over, but don't worry, we're good. The last topic before we get into the whole Z debating Pronman. Well, Pronman's not here to debate him. It's actually
the only way I'll debate. That's the only way I'll debate anybody, by the way.
I was kind of curious where this came from too, but Mateo asks if Z can explain the logic of Yurov at center, because I swear I've only seen him at wing in Metallurg.
Yeah, I mean, really interesting part two there. And I think this was a question that came up last year right after the draft. I remember getting this question actually a lot, is like, hey, can one of Yurov or Ogren potentially play center? And I remember at the time being like, Ogren definitely is a winger. Like, he's a scoring winger for sure, who has like, the foundations of a potential two-way game or whatever. If I was to choose one of them, like Daniil Yurov does play a game that does kind of center around plays a game that like you would say, yeah, that could translate to being a center, just because again, like yes, he could score goals. He loves to shoot. We've talked about it before. Even games where he's got like a minute and a half of ice time because of Russia. He's still like, it's like time on ice, 1.4 minutes. Shots on goal, 6. You're like, how the fuck did he do that? But he is like an elite playmaker. I mean, playing junior hockey too in the MHL, in the Russian juniors, he plays center. So it's not like he's never played there before. But yes, in the KHL specifically, he's obviously only played wing. They barely trust him to play anyways because he's not 27 years old. And he hasn't signed a 10-year contract.
Holy shit. Dude, when does Mike Hastings make the move to the KHL?
He would be a god.
That's a great fit.
He would be a god over there.
He would be a czar.
Yeah, exactly. He might already be.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, so what you're telling me, though, is even though Huznadinov is rumored to maybe not be a center, the dream of Kaprizov, Huznadinov, and Yurov is still alive because Yurov could be the center for that line.
Oh, yeah. Definitely still alive. I mean, again, I'm really curious to see what that would potentially look like, but I kind of love that's how they're like looking at it because, again, like that kid is a incredible playmaker. Some of the passes he's able to make when he does decide that he wants to pass, but I think a big part of that too is this is a kid that just loves fucking being on the puck. Like he wants the puck at all times. He wants to make plays. Like he's not a guy that just looks to stand on the periphery and like kind of take advantage of like quiet parts of the ice. Yeah, he can like find, that's one of his strengths too, is he is this very smart hockey player. He does find like quiet areas of the ice and you know, when he has time and space, he's able to manipulate it that way. But he's a guy that he wants to be on the puck all the time. He likes to be on the inside. He likes to cut into the middle too. But I think if he is able to like kind of turn into, you know, a center, that's a dual threat offensively. And again, he already right now, just with how they utilized him this season in the KHL, like he is a strong defensive forward. Like that's one of the things. He's not just, it's the same thing that like somebody, especially like for whatever reason, it's the Russian thing, but so many kids that get drafted high where like their highlight tape is like them with skill, goals, like assists, whatever. Like people who don't really watch a whole lot of these kids, like, oh, well, you know, we'll have to work on that defensive game. It's like, yes, quite literally every single 18-year-old is going to have to get better defensively to play in the NHL eventually. Like that will probably have to be, you know, improved. But he already is a very strong defensive forward. He plays a very good two-way game. So it's interesting. And I kind of love the idea of trying to get him to develop to be a center. Because, hey, if it doesn't work, I mean, you got a pretty good fucking playmaking winger who plays a good two-way game already. So it's interesting, though. I that kind of caught me by surprise. But, again, just the fact that people asked in the past, like, hey, could one of Ogrid or Yurov potentially be a center long-term? And at the time, I was like, yeah, well, I mean, if one of them would, it would be Danila Yurov. So definitely wouldn't suck. I'd say that.
Would not suck. All right. Mm-hmm. Capping the Wild talk for this week. Again, bring all the questions next week. We'll definitely address more of them, but we just hit an hour and we still got to talk Pronman's draft grades. Z, we already talked about the first one, that there was a clear discrepancy. For those that didn't listen, Z was basically gushing over the Washington Capitals draft. Pronman rated them a B, but they were literally the last team that made the cut for a B grade from him. I mean, for you, Washington, like, where do they stack? Are they top 5, top 3, top 1?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, because I mean, I guess just like things
for you, my head, based on what we know now,
I would probably say between 10 and 16.
Oh, okay.
So I think there are a couple of teams that did absolutely, like Carolina Hurricanes. They quite literally cannot fucking miss. Every goddamn pick they make, I'm just like you said, like, God damn it. Like, how, like, because they're also just not afraid of taking the swing on the Russians. They did it last year. Their class was so funny because they just like did all the big swings on the Russians. You're like, A+ pick, A+ pick, A+ pick, A+ pick, only falling because they're Russian. You're like, God, motherfucker. And they did it again. And they traded back. And I remember before they traded back, I was like, they definitely are taking the Timur Mukhanov kid, who like a lot of people who just watch a lot of Russian hockey, like that's a first round pick. Like the skill's insane, really fun player to watch. And they still got him like 2 fucking rounds later. And I was like, well, eventually I was fucking right. But they might have been my favorite draft class, but I think there were just a couple that, I mean, Philadelphia could have had 0 draft picks after number 7, and I would have given them an A+. Like, to my thought, no matter what. Like, if you have Mitchkov at 7, you're not missing.
Let's talk about that one real quick though, because they did take Oliver Bonk, who
I really thought it was St. Louis. I was like, that feels like a St. Louis pick. Yeah, I mean, I get why teams really coveted Oliver Bonk, and listen, the Flyers were not the only team. I was surprised he honestly didn't go before that. Because you're looking at a big, physical, right shot D. He's got two-way ability. I think he's definitely a bit of a project, but I mean, he's got like the NHL bloodline, obviously. His dad, great name. One of the great names in NHL history, and Roddick Bonk. Listen, I get it. You're betting on the tools there. We'll see. I am not quite as low as a lot of the other people at Smart Scouting. But for me, first round was a bit rich. Fun fact, Cam Robinson did mock Oliver Bonk to Minnesota. That would have when he did it like 2 months ago, he fucking
burned shit. They would have burned everything to the ground. Yeah. I think this is an important one to comment on too. Just maybe not as much from this draft, depending on what you think, but Dallas maybe has the one guy that I trust more than Judd. They fucking crush it year in, year out.
Yeah, they you know what they took? I'm trying to pull up their actual class here. They did take. I gotta find it. The one kid that I was surprised lasted as long as he did, and they ended up taking the 4th round. The Aaron Manetnian, another BC kid, he'll be at Boston College next season. From the program, 5'11", right shot D. Again, just like nothing flat.
Legally.
Nothing. Yeah, exactly. Nothing flashy, but such a good defenseman. And I would have firmly put him like 2nd round. I think he went in ours. I think he was like mid-2nd. I was surprised he lasted all the way to 125th. So again, like that is, like you said, like especially like the past couple of years, like they hit on the high picks and they end up hitting on guys they're taking in the middle rounds. So specifically, that was the one. I'm trying to actually pull up their full class. There we go. But I remember seeing him go to Dallas the 4th round. I was like, oh, fucking course. Like, they cut this kid in the 4th round. And they take the Angus McDonald. Great name, by the way. They get him in the 6th round. I think he'll play. I think he's going to play games for sure. Big boy, super physical, mean fucking center. I wouldn't be surprised if they can let him develop into an NHL player. But even at Tristan Bertucci, the kid they took in the 2nd round, like they're just like finding these guys, like all-name team for sure. No, Dallas does tend to just like hit on picks, especially when it's like a draft where maybe they don't have the most picks in the world. They tend to find those players and hit on those picks. So, but that was one of the specifically, I just remember that was one of the ones that really stuck out on day 2 was Aaron Manetnian going in the 4th round of Dallas. Because I think he's just a solid player all around.
Love it. We already talked about Carolina, who you loved.
A+, dude.
Oh, well, a B from Pronman, of course, because they took legal midgets, and they were at 13 if we go in order. But Mateo chiming in with Columbus, Carolina, and SJ were all winners. You talked San Jose a little bit, but dude, what the fuck is happening in Columbus between this year and the last year or two? They have
the University of Michigan
fucking crushed it. And yes, they're Michigan.
Yeah, they're just drafting the Michigan Wolverines. I mean, Fantilli falls in your lap. You're not going to complain. They're not afraid to take Gavin Brindley at 34. They get William Whitelaw at 66. Just 2 smaller players that only fell.
You had Whitelaw mocked at 32. You're like, it'd be a reach in a lot of people's eyes, but damn, this guy would be fun in Vegas. Like, talk a little bit more about him, because again, he's going to be joining Charlie Stramel with the Badgers, assuming they don't get jettisoned off because they're too young.
Yeah, William Whitelaw, I mean, upside-wise is sky high. Like, yes, he's 5 foot whatever he is. If you want to laugh, look up the numbers he fucking put up at Shattuck St. Mary's. I think one of the years it was like 40 games, 112 points. It's fucking unbelievable. But like the Holinka Gretzky tournament last summer, this kid was in every time he touched the puck, like Sports Center, top 10, Sports Center, top 10, like every single time he touched the puck. There's going to be, for me, definitely a boomer bust guy. So there you go. That's why he's at 66. The kid could not give less of a fuck about playing defense, which good luck playing ever for Mike Babcock if he's still there by the time Whitelaw signs. So he's all offense, like all, but like the offensive potential, like playmaker, absolutely elite shot, can score from distance, shoot off both feet. Yeah, 154 points in 1 year. Yeah, it sounds right. So you want to take a run at 66th overall. If you want to take a gamble on upside, William Whitelaw, yes, absolutely. And you know what? Gavin Brindley's got legit upside too. I think at Smart Sky we had him at 9th overall. Like this kid is a fucking stud. He just happens to be 5'10", if that. But he fucking produced and played very well in college as a true freshman. So again, proof of concept there. But then you keep going down, specifically this year with Columbus. Andrew Strathman, another kid who really had a good Holinka last year. He is so fun to watch. This left shot D-man. He's got decent size. He's physical, but he's a decent enough defender off the rush. End zone might get himself in some trouble every once in a while, but another guy like the skating, high end. The way he's able to move along the blue line and create lanes, the shot is no joke. I love that pick at 98. Luca Pinelli, another kid. I think he's 5'8", 5'9", playmaking center, plays a good two-way game already. Another pick I love at 114. Melvin Strahl, they pick up a goalie who like produced fairly well and played fairly well in the J20 this year. And then they get Tyler Peddle with the 224. Like, another fucking solid draft from Columbus, but it is very funny how many dudes from the University of Michigan they now have. Like it's just, like it's nonstop. They can't help themselves. Like,
which is even funnier though when you factor in like at least
Columbus of all places, yeah, Ohio State,
like,
yeah,
just the biggest hate. Period. But that's fun. Okay, now Dallas, we already talked about. They were in the bottom 4th. For Pronman. They led the group of C's. The team that led the group of C minuses, bottom 4.
I have a feeling I know who it is.
We got to get into it. Talk.
There you go.
Spill your feelings.
After the Pelosi pick, I didn't mind their draft at all. Like I loved like Beckett Hendrickson for me was I fucking loved that prospect. Like one of the best passers in the USHL this season. Like threading the needle and making plays. And I think there's enough of a foundation there. Obviously, the fact that, you know, his dad's Darby Hendricks going to help him out, just like in terms of just knowing the game and like playing a two-way game in general. I think there's decent enough upside there. And I think, you know, he's got the size that clearly they were looking for because they didn't take Jaden Perron in the third round.
Dude, you know, though, how.
That was the play that fucking Carolina traded back and still got Jaden Perron fucking a round later.
Yeah, sneaky bastards. So you know how the Wild have had a couple of those like ESPN-esque commercials, like the one where they're passing the coffee cup back and forth and Hartman comes in and finally like fills up the coffee.
Darby's was good.
Well, they got to have another one though where it's like literally Dino's going over to beat the wheels off Darby again and Beckett steps out and just fucking drops Dino. Can you imagine?
Enough. I got this, Dad.
Like straight up end of Wedding Crashers.
Yeah.
Going after Owen Wilson and then fucking go tell the Dalai Lama about that, jackass.
Great. Phenomenal pull again. And
also Beckett Hendrickson is a follower of MNCAA, so shout out to him and open invite if he ever wants to come in here and talk about Dino beating the shit out of his dad or going to Boston or Gophers or whatever.
Yeah,
you're a beauty though. We love you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the Bruins, like it was funny because they just took like their draft class. It was like, yep, there's the Bruins doing the Bruins thing. Like it's just like, listen, the Pelosi pick, it is what it is. Jade Prawn was sitting right there. There were a couple other guys sitting right there. Luca Cagnoni. I think there were other players with because I tweeted out right before they picked. I was like, holy shit! Like the fact that they didn't have a pick until the third round. Like there's a bunch of guys with like legit no shit upside here. And they take the fucking they just did what they always do. They take the vanilla fucking like, oh, he's got good habits. So I mean, they did what they did. But honestly, again, like after that pick, like, and I don't mean to shut up. By the way, side note, I don't even mean to shit on because again, I'm not shitting on a kid. Like I also watched him at Dev Camp, and he actually was solid too. So what did they do at Dev Camp? And he was a player that was making a ton of plays there. But after that, like I didn't mind really any of their picks. Like specifically, my favorite fucking pick that they made was their last one, Christian Kostadinsky, 6'6", 230 pounds.
Dude, he was high up my all name team rankings.
Dude, I'm telling you, and I just said I went to Dev Camp on day 2. He is the biggest fucking human being on the face of the earth. I tweeted out, he looks like his breakfast every day consists of 3 Fabian Liesels. Like he is, he stepped onto the ice and I was like,
I was ready for that one.
I tweeted it to me. I was like, it looks like his daily breakfast consists of 3 Fabian Liesels, dude. He's the biggest motherfucker on the planet.
That's great.
But it's funny, the guy that runs Smart Scouting, Josh, I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago, he messaged me because I'm the Sweden scout. He was like, I don't know how much you've watched, but like I actually kind of love this for like a mid to late round flyer, like this Kostadinsky kid. Like the skating, it is what it is, but he defends obviously really well. He makes good decisions and is able to like break the puck out, but knows exactly what he is, where he's not just trying to do things he's not capable of doing. Like he just generally makes the right decision. But like there's the fact that he's as smart as he is, he defends as well as he does. Like the fact that he's 6'6", 230, and he's fucking mean. Like that's a kid that for me, for a 7th round pick, he's for sure going to play NHL games. And I think he's going to be an NHL regular and like a good player. So it's always interesting too, when you go to the development camps over the years, like you can kind of figure out which kids or which prospects, coaching staff and like team personnel really are like.
We made it a lot further than I thought we would before Z had technical issues.
It came back, I think, but I still have 1 bar. I'm like nervous right now. It's probably gonna go out, but I don't know where I cut out. But it's interesting to see like which players that the team and the team staff, team personnel is like high on or like really wants to invest in long term. Because in between drills at development camp, like a lot of one-on-one conversations, like even afterward, a lot of drills that they just like keep them out in the ice for, and like someone was in Kostadinsky's ear the entire time. And it was just like interesting to see. So like, a couple of years ago, it was Mason Lowry with the Bruins, where Adam McQuaid was all over. And the pick that fucking people shit themselves over that year. And guess what? This kid is a fucking stud too. But it's always, that's why I like going to those and not just like watching the videos. It's just like seeing stuff like that, like which guys are really like, you can tell the team's like invested in long term and really value. It's just like those guys that they're pulling aside and just like in their ear the whole time, and not just like some of like the invitees where it's like, they're here and whatever, we'll talk to them. Or the guys that get picked high and obviously like, we're assuming this kid's gonna play. But those guys that go mid to late rounds and people are pulling them aside, having a lot of one-on-one time with coaches. It's just interesting, but that's why I like going in person.
Fair. All right. I got 1 from each letter grade here, from B+ down to, actually, I'm going to give you 2 B- and a B+. that I just thought had interesting drafts. Whether or not it was good, we'll leave that up to you. But a B-pluser, the top B-plus, Buffalo Sabres. How fucking stupid is their prospect pool at this point?
Dude, like, and I love that they go out and they're like, we might have a million players with super high upside at this position, but Zach Benson just fell to us at 13. And you look at some of the other guys they bring in, like Maxime Sturback. You could have beef with where he went in the second round, because I think he's kind of like, the way that I describe a kid like Sturback is like, that's a kid that could probably play 10 to 15 years in the NHL. You'll never hear his name, but you'll also never hear anyone complain about him. Like, he's a big right shot D, excellent defender, and generally makes the right decision. He can like get out of his own zone, skates well, like he's just is what he is. But he could probably just munch minutes for 10 to 50 years. And if you can find a defenseman outside the first round that you can do that with, you take that all day long. So I think part of like the grade there too is just the fact that, yeah, there were definitely a ton of players with, like, you would say, yeah, guy definitely has some super high upside versus a kid like Maxime Sturback. But that's another pick that I like there too. So they're just, again, it's kind of funny because, like, we were saying with Judd Brackett in Minnesota, like, it feels like they went pretty heavy on like need or just, well, no, just like, well, yeah, they went heavy on heavy. But like, it felt like they went need or filling holes in the pool or whatever. But like, Buffalo kind of did that, but also at the same time took home a couple prospects that you're just sitting there like, oh no, there's upside here too. In that prospect pool, and young players that are already playing. That I hate that I'm sitting here in the Atlantic Division like, fuck, I don't even have enough prospects in the Bruins system to like ice a full team. Like, there's just not even enough of them. Like, there's just so few because we have no picks. But I just liked overall what the Sabres did, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm trying to pull up the rest of their picks actually, because I remember there's a couple that I was like, oh fuck, I wasn't even thinking about that guy. Sean Cosgrove, motherfucker. By the way, and another reason that like Sturback's going to do what he does, and you'll just never hear a whole word, Michigan State. So he's just going to go probably be a stud at Michigan State. They're coming up though.
Give them a couple of years, sure. It'll be a minute. But yeah, that works.
But again, he's just going to go do his thing. And again, I think he's going to have a long NHL career. You're just never going to hear a word about it. But who else did they end up? Oh, they took Wahlberg, my guy. That's what.
I was waiting for that. I'm like, where the fuck is Wahlberg?
Again, 39 definitely feels high, but again, all the tools in the fucking world, and they don't need him to turn into a top 6 forward either. So they can invest in him long term. Like, he's going to be a project, but Jesus Christ! And they took Gavin McCarthy. They took a goalie in Ratzlaff, who was really good for Canada Holinka. So yeah, the B+ doesn't surprise me at all because they definitely passed on some upside. But the players they took for me are super intriguing still.
All right. So of the B minuses, of which there's 5, we've got Colorado Avalanche, Pittsburgh Penguins, New York Rangers, Vancouver Canucks, and Winnipeg Jets. Talk to me about the Colorado Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets. Go in whatever order.
Colorado, for me, I don't care what you could. They could have not taken anyone outside the first round, and I'd be like, those motherfuckers did it again. Yep. They took Callum Ritchie at 27, which to me felt like the right place for him to go. And of course, it's the fucking Colorado. This kid, even if he tops out at a 3C, you're going to love him as a 3C. Because I think there's a ton of room for him to grow a two-way game too. He's already got the skill. He's got to work on the skating. But there's enough of a foundation there where I think he can be a solid minute-munching 3C that's capable of putting up points for you too. And they take the defenseman who may have had the highest upside of all defensemen in this draft, in Mikhail Gulyayev, at 31. The fact that, by the way, they ended up with 2 first-round picks is still outrageous to me, but it's insane. It's fucking insane. I love that bet, Uncle Yayev, dude. Like, you've already got Byram, you've got Gerard, you've got Makar, like you've got studs.
If you
everywhere.
had a like written guarantee from Jesus Christ himself that Bowen Byram could not be injured, how much money would you fucking throw at that kid?
Dude, that's a fucking like 8x8 like all day long.
Easily. It's probably a Colorado 8x8, just like it was a 9x8 for Makar, right? Like, kid is filthy. He just has had.
It's sickening. They have Makar. They have met Makar for less than 10. That's fucking unreal. The kid won a Conn Smythe. He has a Conn Smythe and a Norris, and they have him at less than 10 in this fucking economy. In this economy?
Weren't Byram and Makar both taken 4th overall, both after the Avalanche sliding because they got fucked in the lottery?
Unbelievable, dude.
Like, what the fuck?
And again, they win a cup the next year. They have 2 first-round picks. They take Callum Ritchie and fucking Mikhail Gulyayev. Like, what the fuck, man? That's what, you know what? That's what people need to take. Joe Sakic apparently is like the best dude in the world. So there you go. Just be a good person. This shit will happen for you.
Oh,
you
know, you just have all the good war number 19.
You know how like shitty things could have turned out for the Avalanche if he wasn't. Remember how close he was to getting fired? And he was patient with the Duchesne thing. And look what the fuck happened with that trade. There you go. That's all, like, God damn it. Jesus. But yeah, the fact that they took, I mean, Gulyayev, again, just legitimately insane upside. And they don't need him to turn into some, like, two-way pivot fucking defenseman where, like, yeah, he's got a ton of points, but he defends well too. You could fucking let that guy just, yeah, exactly. Take 2 seconds, motherfucker.
God. Peace out, Granny. We'll see you next week.
Dinner time. Well, I guess they're probably in Minnesota. I was going to say 8:30. I was like, oh my God. That's the opposite. I would have thought he would have been.
Yes, because you've never had late night dinner. You don't strike me as the person at all that just like loses track of time and is like, I should probably eat.
Doesn't eat. Like, what's for dinner? I'm like, dude, it's 11 o'clock at night. What do you mean what's for dinner?
Bud Lights.
Yeah, that's true. Liquid diet. Nothing wrong with that. It's also go to the gym, 12-ounce curls. Oh, God. Yeah. The specifically the goalie I have at 31. I mocked him with the last pick to San Jose, didn't I? Because I was like, they're like, take the Mitch Cup and Golia. I remember doing it.
26, I think, is where San Jose was at the time. But yes, that, and yeah, I really didn't expect Callum Ritchie to fall as far as he did to 27 for the Avs, and that just like, of course.
Yeah, I figured he'd go somewhere like. Well, honestly, I thought Minnesota would take him.
I did too. I had him pegged like in that 20 to 24 range, kind of.
Yeah, I still have. I mean, I have enough questions about the upside where I understand why he slipped. I mean, he just did not. I mean, anyone in Oshawa had a bad year, so I get it. But
so clearly, you disagree on Pronman's shitty B- grade for the Colorado.
Well, it's just the fact they didn't have a ton of guys there. I think that's part of it too. A lot of the time, and like I mean,
but the whole grading system should be what did you do with what you have, right? Like you can't give Chicago an A+ for fucking drafting Bedard and more and having more picks than everybody. Like it should be based on the picks you came in with. How did you execute on those picks? And it's also, are they midgets or not, based on Pronman's opinion that if you're not 6'7", you're a midget. But whatever. Talk Winnipeg to me though. Winnipeg Jets. He was pretty low on them. I didn't think that they had like an otherworldly draft, but I thought they did okay for themselves.
Well, the 3 picks. I mean, I Barlow at 18. Again, that I was shocked he didn't go top 10. Actually, if I'm being completely honest with you,
I believe you originally mocked him to Pittsburgh at 14.
Yeah, and I think I said, I'm sure in like when he actually gets drafted, I'm sure he'll be gone by then. Because, I mean, you watch him and you're like, that's an NHL player. Even though, like, he scores a ton of goals. Obviously, if he didn't get hurt, he would have fucking put up 60 in the O this season. He was their captain as a draft eligible. Great player. But there's enough question marks there. Like, you don't really know how much of those goals are going to translate. Like, a lot of those is like, how did that even fucking go in? Whatever. But I feel like 18, I actually liked it. That's, to me, I was like, you know what? That felt like a solid pick, especially for the Jets there.
Well, and the Colby Barlow thing, too, that's interesting is, like, people seem pretty convinced that he's going to be comfortable staying in Winnipeg and isn't going to be. I
think that's the case. Just knowing, I mean, I shouldn't say knowing, obviously, because I don't fucking know the kid. But with, oh god, there's my internet again. God damn it, I'm on one bar. Am I frozen? Am I still here? Oh, all right. Oh, we're back to 2. Let's fucking go. Yeah, I do think that's a kid who I don't think he gives a fuck about getting drafted. I think he just wants to play in the NHL. I firmly believe that. Just, again, not knowing him personally, but all the reports, obviously, anyone that knows him, it's just like who is. It's why he's a captain this season. He's just like, I want to fucking play. I want to win, and I want to fucking play in the NHL, really. So that doesn't shock me at all. That's what people kind of went towards or lean in terms of like his like personality and like being in Winnipeg. I don't think I think he was probably more pissed off he didn't go higher than anything. Not the fact that it's just like Winnipeg. After that though, I like them picking up the goalie there, Thomas Milic at 151. I think that was good value right there, 5th rounder. And I fucking love the Connor Levis pick at 210, dude. I thought that was like for sure like a 3rd round player. 2-way games, fucking mean, super physical. Kind of like checks a lot of boxes when you're just looking at like, all right, like NHL habits, and like just general approach to the game. And there's some offense in there too, where he's not just like going out there as like a 4th line plug, like killing guys. He was in Kamloops top 6. So, is able to play with good players, makes plays, scores goals, and he's fucking mean. So I think, again, 7th round, that's a kid I'm happy to take all day long. I was shocked he was there at 210. So I would say, yeah, I mean, I would have given him like a B.
Sure.
You know, Zach Naring in the 3rd round. Again, most of that is just because some of the guys that went after, like the Timur McConnell, Luca Cagnoni, Jaden Perron, like there were so many fucking guys that went later than they should just because of how tall they are. I thought there was some more value to be out there. So
again, you didn't give this enough credence at all.
He is. It's bad, dude. Like,
Ramen is a height supremacist. God damn it. That's just too good.
Yeah,
Sean, keep him coming, man. That's brilliant.
I think what do you say? It was a B minus?
They were at the very bottom of the B minus.
I mean, I would give a solid B.
So they were like,
I think you're for sure getting 2 NHLers
like
out of that draft.
21 or 22.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't have much to work with. They definitely passed up on some upside, but I think they're at least getting 2 NHLers, if not 3.
Yeah.
Goalies, who knows?
And I mean, 2 after them in the C pluses was the Minnesota Wild. Like, do you think that that's a harsh assessment, or is that?
No, because I mean, I probably go B minus.
Okay, so
because I'm definitely like I said, I'm higher on the upside in Kupalainen. I get the Stramel pick from like a completely neutral standpoint.
I mean, sure, if you're going to be a bitch and just say it's okay that they won't trade up, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're not like just beating up like Steve Yzerman for his draft pick. Taking a lot more. I would say C plus B minus is totally fair.
Yeah,
because again, it's just like the amount of upside you pass on, right?
Yep. And in the middle of the Bs, and maybe we should just run down the entire thing for everyone. We had one more team that was requested, and then if there's anyone else you want to cover, but A plus Chicago, A, Columbus Blue Jackets, Philadelphia Flyers, A minus Anaheim Ducks, Arizona Coyotes, San Jose Sharks, B plus Buffalo Sabres, Detroit Red Wings, Nashville Predators, Seattle Kraken, St. Louis Blues. I mean, so far, anything here that seemed out of whack to you?
I probably would have given Nashville an A minus.
I kind of figured that was one of the ones you liked.
Because, I mean, you get Matthew Wood, who really is solid.
Sick name, too.
Great name. Lit it up in college at UConn. I really do, and it higher than I would have had him. But I love the fact that they gambled on Tanner Melendijk. Like, he's so fun to watch, dude, and the skill's crazy. So he's got all the tools in the world. I love the fact that they leave the second round with Felix Nilsson, who's one of my favorite centers that really didn't get enough love.
Not the best Felix in the draft, though.
No, my boy went to Carolina. Should have gone first overall. But they also get Kalen Lind, who I think is going to be a god in Nashville. They take Kiskinen in the third round. Dylan McKinnon, I think, has got good upside. I fucking love the fact they got Joey Willis in the fourth round at 111. And they got Austin Rest in the sixth round. I would have given him an A-.
All right, fair. Carrying on then from where did I leave off? Okay, the Bees, Calgary Flames, Carolina Hurricanes, who we've already hammered.
That's crazy to me. That's
yes.
An A+ all day long.
Next one up in the middle of this is the one we'll be talking about, the Montreal Canadiens. But then we wrap it up with Vegas Golden Knights and Washington Capitals, who we've already talked about at length. So let's hear it. What happened with Montreal?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. What did he give them? A C?
Nope, they were right in the middle of the B's. If I go in order, there 1, 2, 3. They were 14.
That's a little high. Like, I think Reinbacher's no shit, and again, I hope he fucking turns into a number one elite fucking defenseman just with how it fucking unfolded for him. I know Prodman's super high on Reinbacher, so he's been talking about him since like before the World Juniors. So not surprised that he gave him. But Jacob Fowler, good pick in the third round for sure. I probably would have taken him as one of the first 2 or 3 goalies, honestly, off the board. And it was funny. It's like it happens every fucking year. Like once someone takes a goalie, you just see the run on goalies go. And like I think there was like in the second round, like once who was it that went first? Was it Augustine? Whoever the first goalie was on the board, like the next like 20 picks, there was like 6 goalies.
Wasn't it
Adam Guyon
taking like the monster?
They took
wasn't he like 6'7" or some shit?
Damian Clara, the Italian, did he end up at fucking Arizona? No, they took Melker. No.
I remembered Arizona getting literally every tall player in the draft.
Yeah, they did. I think their shortest player was like 6'1". But Jacob Fowler, dude, he was breaking records this year at the USHL. He was fucking unbelievable. So the Reinbacher pick, a little high for me, obviously, but I get it. Jacob Fowler, no problem in the third round at 69th overall. But after that, yeah, that's where the picks start getting questionable for me. Like, I mean, they took Jack Guy's brother in the fourth round of 101. And then, well, here's the thing. Like, while I love the Fowler pick, they took fucking 3 goalies. Like, they drafted in 3 fucking goalies. Like, I've never seen anyone do that. So I was shocked that they got top half of the fucking draft or all fucking 32 teams. What did Seattle get?
Michael Hrabel.
Oh yeah, that's the goalie that I probably would have had at this point. He's a stud. He's real good.
6'7", 215-pound netminder out of Omaha in the USHL. Holy,
yeah, he's unbelievable. Fuck. He was a stud at the Holinka too. He
also
is
shame on Arizona for using their reverse retro jerseys instead of the beautiful Kachinas.
Yeah, that's a good point. Wait, what did he give Seattle?
Seattle, they were a B+. They were, yeah.
I mean, I love their especially the top half, and they took a kid like Zeb Fiorsfall at the end, and Zachariah was I'd probably give him A-, dude. Edward Shala, Carson Raycock, Oscar Fisker, Volgard, Lucas Travis.
And Shala is like the home run swing of the first round, right?
That's a big swing on the upside. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love their second round. So fucking good. And the Caden Price at 84. Yeah, I would have given an A- for sure. I didn't see that commentary. That's unreal. That's insane. He lost. The Youngstown won the USHL. He lost 1 game in the playoffs. The kid's a stud. I think he had like a 940 in the USHL.
Fair.
I would have given Seattle an A-, I think.
Okay, that's fair. Then we've got the B minuses that we already kind of hashed through. We got Colorado Avalanche, Pittsburgh Penguins, New York Rangers, Vancouver Canucks, and Winnipeg Jets. You and I talked about it a little bit off air, and we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but Mateo chiming back in, he really liked the Jaeger pick for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, man.
I just didn't like it as much as Benson.
Yeah. Yeah, so actually, you should be mad at Dubas for not fucking mugging. Why
the fuck didn't he trade up? Why?
Yeah,
it's so easy.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows you can just do it if you ask nicely, or beat the shit out of the guy in front of you. I really do like I think just with how, again, another player who was slated to go. I mean, he was the guy after Fantilli, after Michkov, after Bedard, and then after, at that point, it was Dvorsky. He was the guy, challenging for 5th overall, and then they put him at center this year in Moose Jaw, and he still scored 30 goals. He just didn't have the same kind of year that he did the year before as a draft -1. I mean, he was he broke Theo Fleury's record for Moose Jaw with for 16-year-old goals. I think he scored 35 as a fucking 16-year-old. He's super young too, but
he's got a long ways to go to catch Fleury's un-PC comments though.
Yeah, no, hopefully he doesn't break that record. That's one I wouldn't mind if he just left that on the board there. But again, another player who and this is how the year goes for a lot of guys, really, I guess, because you would have said the same thing about Urov. But a year prior, if you told me Jaeger was going 14 to Pittsburgh, I would have told you they won the draft. So there is legit upside. He showed that he is at least capable of playing center. But I think even if he doesn't pan out there, even if he turns out as just a sniper, you're looking at a kid that in his sleep can put up 30 goals in the NHL. Okay. So I think you take that all fucking day long if you're Pittsburgh.
Talk timeline for me though. One more year junior, and then he jumps in and plays in the NHL, or are we waiting for a bit?
I mean, I'd give him at least a year or two probably to no, I'd at least 2 years. Let him keep playing. He also has to. He can't even unless he makes the NHL. He can't. That's what I go and play. Well, I thought you said pro. Yeah, I mean at least 2 years, but. Okay. You're not sitting there kicking all these other guys are actually no, because everyone does that. If there's one player that goes after 14 that's going to be playing games before Jaeger, the fan base.
Dude, I would trade Jaeger for Lundell, for Perfetti. Oh I'd definitely do it for why can't I think of the other guy now? Carolina.
Jarvis.
If I could get any of them, I would give up literally any player in the system. Why wouldn't you?
Hey, when the Penguins do have first round picks last 2,
just this year and the year before.
I mean, 2 solid players in Jaeger and Pickering.
Pickering's gonna be sick.
I loved that pick last year. I was curious to see what they would actually go and target with some of the guys that were going off late in the first round last year. I love that Pickering pick though. So there you go.
Yeah, there we go. C pluses: LA Kings, Minnesota Wild, New York Islanders. C's: Dallas Stars, New Jersey Devils, Tampa Bay Lightning, and Toronto Maple Leafs. Anyone out of that 7 that you have particular issue with, or that you just get excited to talk about?
I'm curious to see how he grades. If it is because there's going to be teams where they have a couple picks versus a team that's got LA had 5 picks this year. I liked their first pick at number 54, Jakub Dvorak. He's fucking massive. This big defenseman who's solid. Was challenging for late first round at points this year. Cohen Zimmer put up a ton of points in the WHL. I would have had a problem if someone took him top 50, but at 78th overall. No problem there. They took the goalie from God damn it, where was the fucking him? I actually can't really Slakinski. Is that how you say it?
Slavkovsky.
Yeah, same thing, same guy. Yeah. But Decent goalie. Don't have a problem with taking him in the 4th round. Matthew Mania. There should be a lot of maniacs. The fact that he went 5th round is shocking to me.
Yeah.
Super high upside right shot D. Like literally they took like they got Sean Dursey with probably like a little bit more psychotic loose cannon play, but like one of the funnest defensemen to watch in this draft class. So what you said, they gave them a C for what they had, for where they're picking. I mean, they picked up some solid pieces, I think.
Sorry, Kings were C+. Above, C+? They were right before the Wild.
I guess.
You guess.
I don't know. I would have given them a B for what they got, for what they had. You know, like
that's
the value.
Tough.
B- for me.
Fair.
And then who are the other ones that you just said?
So we got through the C pluses were Kings, Wild, Islanders, and then it was Dallas Stars, who we talked about quite a bit, New Jersey Devils, Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto Maple Leafs for the C's, and then we got 4 C minuses left.
Well, the one, I mean, we're going to be fucking 2 hours here, but the one that we got to bring up is Toronto. Yeah. Easton Cowan. I totally get why teams like Easton Cowan. And I think I have no problem with a team taking him higher than I would have picked him, just because, again, super high motor, great passer, makes a ton of plays, plays a good two-way game, physical. 28th is very rich, and they only had 3 picks this year. For me, you have to take a big home run swing on raw upside at 28. What did you say that he gave them? A C what?
They were the last one in the C's. They were 5th worst draft.
Oh, so he didn't give anyone like a F.
C- was the lowest. There's 4 C minuses.
For fuck's sake. All right. Well, in that case, fair enough. All right. Yeah, the
like Eastern, he doesn't want to shit talk people. He just wants to be nice and politically correct.
Well, Brad True-Living would have beat the shit out of him probably. But yeah, the Easton Cowan pick, I think that had to have been outside of the predictable, like audible gasps when fucking like Carlson goes to, Michkov goes to Philly. The Easton Cowan pick for me came out of fucking nowhere. I would have told you that if he went mid-second, that I would have said that's a sneaky great pick. Definitely a reach, but sneaky great pick. And Toronto ends up with taking him. Easy player to fall in love with, though. Like, totally get it in terms of, like, this is our guy. Like, this is who we want. And, I mean, their next pick wasn't until the 5th round, so they weren't going to be able to trade up into, like, the 2nd, I guess, maybe. I wonder if there's any, or who knows? Like, honestly, that's the other thing. Like, when teams reach, a lot of times it's because they have a pretty good sense of where guys are going. Like, there's not a whole lot of massive surprises in the draft floor. So, I kind of wonder if there was another team out there that was like super high on him too. Whether it was a team that was picking late 1st or early 2nd, or I mean, I guess anywhere between the fucking before the 5th round,
right? Because
that was their next pick. Definitely quite the reach, but I mean, I think he's an NHL player. I think he's got solid upside. I definitely think they passed on a ton of guys with higher upside, but I mean, for me, he kind of feels like a sure thing NHLer with decent upside. So I mean, again, I totally get a team loving him because he does play like the scouts. Like anyone, like any NHL scout's gonna watch, be like, that's the kind of game I want all of our fucking players to play.
Yeah, and Matthew, I didn't realize definitely within each letter grade, he just put the teams in alphabetical order. So, so I don't know where they all fall within there. We just know what letter grade they got. So it's possible, Z, that Boston was the worst team in his eyes, because C minuses we've got Boston Bruins, Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers, Ottawa Senators. What a
great definitely
part of.
Yeah. Feels great. Feels really good. At least they don't really need any prospects coming up at some point soon in Boston at all, because don't have any other
they
players.
got Bergeron and Krejci.
No, I don't. They're done. R.I.P. and peace.
Yeah, how do we properly send them off? Like, what do you even do?
I don't know. Obviously, Bergeron can still play, kind of, decent player. Almost fucking unanimous Selkie. Guy's fucking
all except for one guy that put him at 5th.
Yeah, that motherfucker, dude. It's unbelievable. No, it was McDavid.
That was the joke.
I would be surprised if he put him 5th. I like that by my fucking knife.
God, fucking Sean. Oh, God damn it.
I mean, this is a long one. Yeah, we kind of did it again.
Well, it's up to you. There are 2 NHL players that got brought up. We can talk about both. We can talk about neither. It can be 20 seconds. It can be 20 minutes. But the 2 that I will just throw out to you here, we've got all the rumors spiraling about Erik Karlsson and apparently RIP and peace to DeBrincat. Care to touch on both, either, neither? Do we end it? Is Martin interested in robots?
DeBrincat would be, Karlsson in Seattle would be so fucking fun. Like, I kind of love that.
You got to think that they either trade or aren't going to pay a big deal then to Vince Dunn, right? Like, it seems
that's what I'm wondering. Like,
I've heard that they're out on him, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, I
supposedly it's between Pittsburgh and Carolina somehow.
Yeah, which it's right up Dubas's alley trying to make that work. I feel like he's just gonna.
It could work. You just got to be willing to give up pieces.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Because realistically, if you can get them to take Petrie back on the return, the blue line is sick. When you look at Letang right now is going to be paired up with Ryan Graves, which I thought that was a low-key great move. Mm-hmm. Then you'd have Pettersson with Karlsson. And then whoever you end up with on the third pairing, it's Jan Ruda, and you probably got to put POJ in the package back. Or, worst case, then you're bringing up Chad Ruhwedel, who you cannot kill him. He will be with the Pittsburgh Penguins for the next 20 years.
I feel like he's been in the NHL since 1984.
Oh,
I feel like he's just been in the NHL.
He got drafted right after Lemieux. Yeah.
He's been in the NHL since 1984, has a total of 104 NHL games still because he's just grinding.
But dude, how is
he still there?
How could the Carolina Hurricanes bring in Karlsson after Burns just had a resurgent year? So did Karlsson, and it's because the 2 got split up. What do you do then? It's all right, peace out, Burns.
Sneaky, the most fascinating part of them being the front runners right now is the fact that Burns just got dealt there for basically free. Literally could have won the fucking Norris. You know what I mean?
He should have gotten more Norris love. I don't think he should have won it, but
way more. No, I said he could have. He could have. He had a monster year all around. And they break. I mean, that's a ridiculously fun top 4 though. Because you could have fucking Slavin and Karlsson and then Burns with Orlov. Yeah. So, I mean, it could work. They don't have to be together at that point because you have 2 absolute fucking studs. Well, no, it'd be Slavin Karlsson's because Slavin could fucking do all the... Did I? I thought I went the other way.
No, you said Burns with Orlov.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know what order I said. I just threw them out there as a top 4 and just assumed that I did I said the wrong thing. So there you go. I nailed it.
Killed it.
And then Pesci and Shea on your bottom. That would be fucking insane.
Pretty sure you'd have to move one or both of them out to make this shit work.
Nah, they're staying. They're just gonna. The money's not real. By the way, sneaky wild contract is the Jordan Stahl one, the 4x2.9.
Dude,
that guy rocks.
I loved him so much in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, dude, Erik Karlsson though in Seattle would be an absolute fucking god.
Who?
Eric Carlson.
Sorry. I thought you went to Eric Stahl, and my mind just started racing.
No.
Dude, I mean, kudos to Jordan Stahl being the only member of his family that's not afraid of rainbows.
Yeah, I like. Did they end up? Yeah, I don't
Dude, we still get like the occasional like trickle down comment every week or two of people that are like mad that we posted a video about Eric Stahl being afraid of rainbows. It's just so great on that one because like he wore it a year and a half earlier, and they're like, "So can you comment on why you did it then?" And
I never have.
Okay, now he's like, "That never happened."
I don't think that.
It's like here's the video.
I don't think I ever did. I don't think I ever did. Like, whoops, sir. And he's like, "Who did it?" That is not me.
That is not me.
Look at me.
Steve Garvin stealing TVs.
That is not me. But yeah, I'm all aboard the fucking. I know it's not happening, but I am all aboard the Carlson to Seattle thing, dude. Because that was a team that was fun as fuck to watch this year.
He'd be their best offensive player.
He would literally be their best offensive defenseman, forward, player of all. They'd be the best player in NHL history. Kraken history.
No. Watch Carlson go to Carolina and they move Burns to forward again.
Oh, sign me up, dude.
That'd be so fun. Dude, him and Aho on a line together. I'm in.
Oh yeah. Sign me up. I'm in all day. In on that all day.
Damn it.
I do wonder where he fucking ends up. What if he just never gets moved?
It's very possible if they're not willing to.
Well, every team. That's the thing. Every team's like, we have to wait for the cap to go up, and then the NHL does the same bullshit they do every year. Well, actually, you know what? I know we said we are going to $5 million increase next year, but it's actually $1 million again.
Well, there's $7 left of escrow, so unless you guys want to renegotiate and add escrow back in the future, we're gonna keep it.
Fucking Jeremy Jacobs, piece of shit. He's the worst one of all of them, that fucker. I fucking hate that guy. Anyways, we got to move on before I start really getting in trouble for.
So nope, we have literally 6 minutes left. Whatever you want to say about where DeBrincat should or shouldn't go.
I mean, it feels like Detroit, right?
Yeah, but Steve Yzerman's a fucking G, and he's like, yeah, I know he wants to come here, so you can fuck off.
Yeah, well, you know what, dude? With the shit they keep doing, I don't know about the fucking Yzer plan anymore, bro.
It seemed pretty interesting, to be honest.
I mean,
I think he drafts like none other. I just think that some of the free agent decisions he makes are a little bonkers.
You give Andrew Kopp 6 years, JT Compher, 5 years?
5 years, 5.25, I think it was.
Ben Sherratt, 4 years.
Sherratt and Mata are the ones that I was just like, lost it.
Resigning Mata, another 2 years.
Yes, he got another contract from Yzerman. That's true.
Justin Hall, 3 years.
Yeah, dude. How much was that one? That was like 3 or 4 mil.
3.4 million.
I don't like it. Yeah. Nope. The Yzer plan from dude, it's just like fucking Jim Rutherford in Pittsburgh, man. If it was a trade, he was going to win 9 times out of 10. If it was free agency, he was going to lose 9 times out of 10. Like his signings were fucking dog shit.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder if teams are like, you know what? Let's just not trade with him. See if he just does something to himself here. Just
self-sabotage. Yeah.
That's the thing.
I actually don't mind the Kopp deal though. I like Kopp as a player.
He is not a 6-year, $5.625 million hockey player. Love the guy. I think he's a phenomenal. I think he is a phenomenal third line player that can give you, at his best, 50 points.
I would have called him
absolute. I mean, he's already 28 too.
But the key is him and Compher both on those deals at the same time. They're the same fucking player, except, oh, wait, Compher had 1 good year, and you're paying him off of that 1 year.
At 28 years old. Like, I get wanting to bring in players that play that way. Yeah, everything the Islanders did was bananas. Engvall, 7 years.
Fucking
Mayfield,
just like
7 years. Horvat, 8 years.
You know, Lou tried to sign him for like 12 years. They're like, no, Lou, we can't do that anymore. He's like, the fuck are you talking about? I signed Kovalchuk for 17.
Have you ever heard the story about fucking someone telling Lou Lamoriello that the NHL had an encrypted phone line that GMs could use? That couldn't be traced and that you literally couldn't? Have you never heard that before?
This isn't real.
Yeah, it is.
No.
Someone told him. He thought that he could make phone calls and no one hear.
Who did this? Who told him this?
I heard this story a long time ago, and then I was like, that's bullshit. And then I remember finding I was like, holy fuck, this is a real story. And he literally was just thinking that no one could track it. And also, Lou, who's tracing your phone calls? What do you think? They're fucking like bugging your phones. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. True story. I'm just gonna Google it right now.
No, for sure. Someone just walked up to it and just had like some like glitter, just like it's okay. Untraceable now. And he's like, holy shit, how'd you do that? Weirdly, I don't know why right now, based on all these things we're saying, I'm getting the weird, you know how everyone
this was in Toronto. Yes, it's true.
Their impressions of the impressions people do of Christopher Walken, where like it just seems like he is totally out of his fucking mind. Like that's what I picture.
Oh yeah.
Where like everyone's doing the impression like, oh, your car is alive. Like that's how I picture Lou Lamoriello. Just like magic phone. Fuck yeah.
He starts talking on the phone, emailing the whole 9 yards. Then he calls down to his assistant. Can I have a completely secured phone/fax line installed in my office? And they said yes. They're letting him give 7-year contracts to people.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no, he was like, yeah, no, I need my encrypted phone line here and fax machine. What? It's the best, dude. It's the fucking best. Like this is the shit I needed someone. I feel like it'd be Jeff Merrick that would start it. Just a podcast dedicated to like just ridiculously insane stories like that. Okay. I would probably stop listening to any other podcast ever. That would be the only one, and that would be my source of hockey knowledge. That's what I would talk about on Judd'z Budz. The podcast about the Minnesota Wild prospect pool actually would just be Jeff Merrick's podcast about like really funny, stupid stories about just like the NHL in general. And that's just how it would go. But yeah, no, Lou Lamoriello, encrypted phone and fax line, baby. He's the best, dude. How is that guy still he's 900 years old. 7 years, Pierre Engvall. 7 years, Scott Mayfield. Good for them for locking up Varlamov. Oh my God. They did lock up Varlamov. Then they gave him 4 years. Or 5.
I missed that one.
Yeah, they locked up. I got to bring it up again. Their cap friendly is really funny now.
Their cap friendly is really funny.
Oh, no. Come on, internet. Don't do this to me. Oh, you clicked on the Devils. By the way, Tommy Fitz is on the fucking heater of all GM heaters.
He's doing pretty okay.
The Devils, dude?
Dude, I'm just waiting for Wild fans to start freaking out, being like, God damn, we should have hired him instead.
Yeah, I know. And taking all the draft picks. What did they give Varlamov? I think it was 4. Come on, load, you bitch. 4 years. But they got Sorokin at 8, so at 8.25.
Fucking sick.
Yeah, he's insane. Sorokin, the deal goes till he's old, but you know what? Whatever. Anyways, anything else? We hit the 2-hour mark. The first time we've hit the 2-hour mark, other than we live stream like draft things.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. I can't do 2 more of what we just did.
No chance. I can't believe we were 6.5 hours deep on the draft day.
And then stayed on and fucking drank and talked nonsense for another 2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah, that's a joke. God, my life is a joke, dude. It's one big joke. All right, we should cut it off. Anyways, Hoppy, last thoughts here. I don't even know what we talked about this week. Time's a flat circle.
Encrypted phone lines.
Whoa.
That's all I remember.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we'll cut it there. I feel like maybe next week we actually just potentially do in-depth Minnesota Wild 2023 NHL draft only. And that way we could, if we do a full hour, we can just give each guy more than like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, it can be beyond that too. It can just be the entire prospect pool. Come with your questions, throw them into the chat. We will hit all of them since that'll be our only topic. Even though as soon as Sean Cosgrove throws a shiny object at us, we'll probably fucking chase it. But
Sean again. Isha bragging about his BS holiday. I worry about how much of our live stream Sean tunes into. Like, I really get concerned that in the amount of time.
Of course he has a turtle.
Of course he has a fucking turtle. Anyways, Sean, don't change. All right. So we'll do that next week, or we won't. Who the fuck knows? Maybe I won't even be here. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'll forget again. Forget what day of the week it is. Actually, no, I can't forget anymore because you actually text me. So now that I'm about to do this by myself, I actually don't forget what day of the week it is, at least on Thursdays anyways. Let's just cut it out, dude. We'll see. So, we'll hopefully see everyone next week. We'll talk Minnesota Wild 2023 draft, prospect pool, and whatever the fuck else we think of. I play online poker on my computer anyway. You love that fucking PvP Cosgrove. Full-time job? What a beauty.
Oh, fuck.
Cut it.
End it.